Hi and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to upgrade a PC. Now this particular machine I built from spare parts that I had lying around. The only purchases that I made for this particular machine was the motherboard, the case, and the software for the specialized use that I have for it. Everything else though was gathered from spare parts that was just lying around in my house, and I have a lot of them. In a moment we'll discuss the original specs and what I have today to upgrade this particular PC. In a moment I will be showing you what this machine looks like, and we'll go ahead and get started. So here we have the case, which is a Cooler Master HAF XB Evo. It's $129. I believe I was able to get it on sale for about $100. I like to do that, try to save as much money as I can. This particular case here is a test bench, and that is why I bought it, because it's supposed to be modular, very easy to move things in and out. And I did buy it for that particular purpose, to test hardware on it, different hardware. And so we're going to be upgrading it from what guts it has now. And my favorite part about this case is that you can carry it anywhere without having to struggle. I think that's going to do it for our case display. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the specs of what's on the inside, and I will as well put it on display so that you can see for yourself. I don't recommend someone going out and buying this hardware unless you just want it for testing purposes or you just need an office PC. Okay. Well, first off, if you're a bit confused as to why I am in different clothes every time you look up, it's because this has been recorded over multiple days. I've had to make a few changes in errors, and I wanted to make the best quality video that I could. So, as I stated before, I was going to show the specs and state what they are as far as the original machine is concerned. And I will be putting them up on the screen in just a moment. I have to just get it set up. Okay. Alright, so you should be seeing the specs pretty soon. We'll start with the motherboard, which is an ASRock B75M-GL. The CPU is an i5-3770, 3rd generation Intel. For the RAM, it has two 8GB Patriot Viper 3, clocked at 1600 megahertz. And it has two GPUs, something that is going to be rare to find in today's age of GPU stock shortage. I'm glad I held on to these for so long. The first one is an MSI RX 560, 4GB LP. The second GPU is a Zotac GTX 1650, 4GB as well, and it is the LP version, which means low profile, like the MSI. For the PSU, we have a PowerSpec 80 Plus 450 watt, and the cooler is a stock Intel cooler. So that is going to do it as far as the specs go. Now, what I plan on doing, of course, is replacing other parts in the PC in the future. I'm starting probably with the power supply, because 450 watts is kind of small. With 500 watts, it'll be a little extra headroom to work with. And I will be definitely replacing the cooler as well. I've already done some tests, and it seems to be running okay with the stock cooler, but a better cooler would be much better. Now, as far as the upgrade goes and the reasons why, the motherboard died, the ASRock, and I have no video outputs. So you can't work without video outputs. Now, for some people that are in the PC world, they might be like, okay, switch over to your GPU. Well, I purposely set up the system to where it would only boot from the iGPU and display from the iGPU, and I would use the GPUs in the system, the add-in cards, for gaming only. I used the processing power, but I didn't use them for display. And I tried resetting the BIOS by taking out the CMOS battery, and that did not help whatsoever. So the only other choice I had was to replace and or upgrade, and I chose upgrade. It was a long time happening for this particular system. Now, I wanted to discuss a little bit about what I buy and don't buy as far as the used market goes, because as I stated before, the motherboard itself is used. It is from the used market, and I have no problem with buying used things. In fact, my main rig's motherboard came from the used market. I bought it off of Amazon, and it is serving me well. In fact, I'm recording most of this on my main rig, so it's a well-used motherboard. But of course, with the used market, it comes with risk. And I just wanted to state a couple of my personal choices as far as what I buy from the used market. Well, rather don't buy from the used market. There's two components that I personally don't purchase for certain reasons. The first would have to be the PSU. Oh, hold on. I gotta let this finish loading in. Okay, there we go. As far as the PSU goes, you want to be aware of how old it is and what kind of stress was put on it, because they lose some of their stability over time. Granted, there are occasions where it is unavoidable when buying from the used market, because OEMs make power supplies too, and usually these tend to have proprietary connections. And if they're no longer produced new, your only option would be to go on the used market and find one. However, that comes with the threat that it's going to come from a PC as old as yours with similar stressors. So I'd rather purchase a new one anyhow, but sometimes it's not always going to be conducive to your needs. And then there is the SSD. A simple Google search, just do your own research, read up, try to understand, but it will tell you about the limits of an SSD's read and write function. And probably in its lifetime of usage in the hands of a common consumer, it'll never reach those limits. They'll probably replace the PC long before the SSD will ever have a chance to die on them. But I avoid it altogether just to be sure. I usually just buy a brand new SSD. When you're buying from the used market, you never know what type of stress is being placed on that particular SSD and whether or not tomorrow it's going to die on you. I do know that SSDs have been used for mining Bitcoin, and that is one of the ways that you can kill an SSD fast. So I just avoid SSDs in general. I was doing it before the Bitcoin mining craze, but I still make it a practice, especially now because of Bitcoin mining craze. Now, I'm not opposed to buying a used SSD for testing purposes, emphasis on testing, but I would never buy it to be used as my daily driver. And for those of you who don't understand what daily driver means in the PC world, an easier way of explaining it is I would never buy an SSD to put in my main system. If I'm relying on that system for my work or gameplay, I would not use an used SSD. That's just how it is. And in a moment, I'm going to be bringing up the upgraded specs and showing you what they look like, or rather, what we're going to upgrade this particular machine with. So here we have the hardware, or the new guts, that's going to be going inside of the case. We have here a Z490-A Pro MSI motherboard. As well, we have a Pentium Gold G6400, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain it pretty soon. And i5-11400, what is going to be our main driver for this particular motherboard, as well as, hold on one second, T-Force 3200 megahertz DDR4 RAM, 2 8GB sticks, so that's a total of 16. And we're going to use the stock Intel cooler, which is total cringe, but that's what I have to work with for right now. As well as, hold on one second, this for Wi-Fi. Now this is not going to be in there long, because this particular Wi-Fi card I use for testing purposes. I stick it into other systems to double check things are working right, or if they don't have Wi-Fi and only an Ethernet connection, that's what I use. So this will only be in there for just a little while until I get a what is it called? It'll come to me later. But it's a Wi-Fi card that you can stick directly into your motherboard. So that is what I'm going to be putting in the future, and I might do a short little video of how you can stick it in there and how you can route the wires so it doesn't look like a hot mess. So we're going to go ahead and start building the PC, and I'll do a little bit of talking. I hope you can deal with me while I'm doing that. I hope most of you don't mind a little bit of Star Wars. You'll be seeing that background a lot on my personal desktop. I have it here with me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Now, one thing I did want to mention about building a PC is, do not be afraid to read the manual, especially when it comes to cases, because you might eat humble pie. No one else might be around, but you know if you ate humble pie, and I certainly did with this case. The case is fairly straightforward, but I should have read it, and I did end up reading it because it was a little bit more complicated at first than I thought. But we're going to go ahead and take it apart. Let's start by taking off the top, and I'll probably go ahead and just take off the sides as well. I don't really need to, but I'll just show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to put it to the side, and now I'm going to take off the sides. Okay then, so now the case is open and you can see my horrible cable management and everything I just stuck in there, and it's probably going to stay that way. I'll probably be the butt of every PC builder's joke. My personal rig is managed very well, but since this one is for, I need to just take it apart quick and put it back together quick, I don't manage the cables. So we'll probably go ahead and I can lift this camera up and show you the insides. As I mentioned before, it has 2 graphics cards in there, as you can see, 2 sticks of RAM, and the motherboard is nothing special. It did what it needed to do, and it failed, and so it's time for a replacement. So I think I'll just start taking it apart now. I'll start by taking out the GPUs. Okay, now I'm back. As you can see, the case does need a good cleaning, but I probably won't be doing that today. I'm gonna get a can of compressed air and then do that later on. But for right now, we're not gonna really worry about it. We'll start by taking out these screws here. As I said, these particular GPUs are low profile, so I had to find the correct brackets for a mid-sized case, and I just lost a screw. Which wasn't easy because these graphics cards have been put up for a while. Eventually, for this particular machine, because I am going to upgrade the PSU, sorry. I am going to upgrade the GPUs when the market is more stable and everything is much more reasonable, of course. And what I'm thinking about is if I can just upgrade my particular machine to a 6800 XT, I'll probably just pop my 5700 into this and then buy a GTX 1060, and that's for encoding purposes. I'm gonna have to put this down for a second so I can find what is going on. There we go. Oh, there we go. Let's see. And I pulled it out too far. Alright, well, this motherboard is dead, so I don't need to worry about that locking mechanism. Alright, so now I'm going to, let's see, start unplugging everything, and then we'll start unscrewing everything so we can get this motherboard out the case. We'll start with the USB 3.0. Toss that to the side. Audio, I'm guessing. Yep. Wait, no, 2.0. Not audio. SATA. Alright. Power supply. And let's see. And the RAM. Since these are still good, I'm going to throw it in with all my e-waste. Now, for the DDR3 RAM, I do have too much of it. In fact, it's probably an e-waste hazard how many sticks I have. I have between 34 to 70 gigs of DDR3 just lying around in my house that I'm never going to use because I am not going to older hardware, which is a shame. Let's see. Oh, didn't know I could do that. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and unplug the power for the CPU. Toss that to the side, and now for the Intel cooler. All you have to do is twist these and it should pop up. There we go. And unplug the CPU fan and put it to the side. And there she is, the CPU. I am going to leave the CPU in this particular system because I don't want it to get damaged. Rather, motherboard, not system. I do have plans for this particular CPU. Probably be putting it in a second gen PC that I managed to inherit somehow, and hopefully that particular OEM model will be able to do a BIOS update and accept this CPU. So we'll see in the future, and I'm gonna go ahead and clean it so I don't have to do that in the future. So I'm just gonna put the camera down for a second while I do that. Well, nope, I can't do that yet because I have to take out the motherboard. Yeah, think, Josh, think. Okay, so I'm going to have to hope that all of my motherboard screws are still at the bottom of this case, because I can't remember where I put them. Since this is not a full-size motherboard, it takes less screws, and if I just threw them anywhere, well, then I'm going to be having a very bad day. But it should be fairly easy to find what you need, where the mounting points are in the case, and putting in your screws so that you can lock down the motherboard. Let's see. Okay, that one. Am I? Oh, the magnet is so weak on this thing. Let's see, am I missing any? Where are you? Oh, there it is. Oh, and I need to check this case and double check that it has more mounting points so that I can screw them in. I forgot about that. Alright, well, this is going to take a second. And while I am figuring out things and cleaning this CPU, I will be talking a little bit about a few things. I did want to talk a little bit about some of the decisions I made regarding this particular PC. And one of them was to save as much money as I can. This machine was always going to be upgraded. I was going to do a 6th gen Xeon processor and motherboard, but looking at the costs, I didn't, because there wouldn't have been any, I wouldn't have saved anything really by doing so. So I went ahead with the decision to just go with an 11th gen processor, an i5. I'm sure I would have enjoyed the Xeon a little bit more for the particular purposes I had in mind, but I'm trying to be cost effective, so that's why I decided to just go with the i5 11th gen. And we're going to go ahead and discuss this particular motherboard here, which is a, oh, I got that processor wrong. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. This particular motherboard here is actually for a 10th gen, not an 11th gen. So when you're building a PC, one, ask questions. Don't be afraid to do so. Second thing, always read everything. I am a skim reader, so when I'm reading a book or an article, because I love to read articles, when I'm reading, I will literally go to the end and then work my way back, or start in the middle, go to the end, work back, blah, blah, blah. And I'll start skimming through things if I start to lose interest trying to get to the point or the information that I am looking for. And there's a particular website that you can go to called PC Part Picker. Very helpful. It will show you things that may not be compatible, such as if you're getting a GPU that won't fit in your case, it will give you a warning about that. And I did see a warning when I was putting this particular PC together so that I could see, make sure everything was going to be okay. And I didn't exactly read it because I assumed it was talking about the power supply that I have in this case, the 430 watt. I assumed that it was saying that it might be better to just go ahead and get something that's a little better. And so I went ahead and purchased the motherboard. But in retrospect, looking back with 2020 vision, I know now what it was saying when it raised the red flag, because I just assumed, but I didn't read. And this is a 10th gen motherboard, which means you need a BIOS update. So the original cost that I was going for was higher in the end because I had to purchase that Pentium 10th gen processor so I can do a BIOS update. And right now, because the PC market is kind of crazy, I spent probably $50 more than the Pentium is actually worth, or its MSRP. So I am very disappointed in myself. And this is what I mean by humble pie. Even if only you know about it, you might eat humble pie. So don't be afraid to read. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It could save you frustration and money, unlike myself. So now it's time to get to the fun part of the video, at least my favorite part when I'm watching other people's tech YouTube videos, the unboxing. Now, my favorite part I will be discussing in a moment, but I will go ahead and start taking things out of the box. Starting with the motherboard and CPU. Now, normally, I do ensure that I keep the box around because I never... Oh, I need some scissors. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back now. Like I was saying, I usually keep the boxes for the parts that I buy because it's something very nice about getting things in its original box. If I ever do resell things, I can't tell you how many parts I've actually received that was in a plain cardboard box, and it just made me worried that it got beat up in the UPS truck. I'm pretty sure it did, but it worked just fine for the moment. So here we have the motherboard. In a moment I will take it out the box, and then I will discuss some personal choices regarding what I do with the installation of this. Let's see what else is in the box. IO shield, important. SATA cables, I never have enough. And if you have a CD-ROM player, why? This is just me making fun of you, but and sometimes I need it personally, but I just go to an older PC that I have lying around, stick it in and make an ESO of it, because there's no reason to have a DVD-ROM. So let's see, NVMe screws. Okay, but that's pretty much everything in this box. We're going to move on to the Pentium. And about the Pentium, other than the need for it to, I need it for a BIOS update. If you're really interested, I can do a sort of test with the Pentium so you can see what lower end hardware for a latest gen is like. They really do, they're really nice to have. The i3s are pretty decent. The Pentiums are actually pretty decent if you want a low-end gaming machine. So I can do that later. I'm not going to do it in this video, but if you're really interested in seeing, let me know in the comments, and I will put something together where we use the Pentium instead of the i5. So now we're going to go ahead and unbox the Pentium. Let's see. here. Of course. Now I don't have to get up and go running for scissors. Actually, let me make sure. Here. Pay attention to where you're cutting. Well, pay attention to everything, because building a PC is relatively easy, but can be disappointing in the end, and I will explain that in a second. Okay. I hate these boxes because I never figure out what I'm doing. Okay, so here we got the cooler. We're going to be using this lame cooler, like I said, because I didn't want to spend any more money. And that's just the way it is going to be. Let's see. Nope, not there. I'm trying to keep this nice and clean, but forget it. That's what scissors are for. Okay, here we go. Now we have our CPU. So what I'm going to do with this CPU is go ahead and install it in the motherboard. And I will give you the story on why I'm going to do that. So me and my brother, when we were building his PC, we thought that our environment was safe. And I'm going to be totally honest here. It was my second time actually building a PC. I have taken apart I don't know how many PCs and put them back together. I do it a lot. And sometimes overconfidence can be your downfall. And we both made a mistake and ended up bending pins on the motherboard because we didn't put the CPU in the slot already. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and put this CPU in. That way I won't have that problem of bending pins, which is a very, very painful thing. Another thing to discuss regarding, here we go. Double check and everything is lined up. Alright, CPU is in the socket. You can bring it down and lock it in. Just that simple. No worries. Another thing I will be discussing here is how much you spend on your PC parts. It is all up to you. No one can judge you, although I might. Not gonna lie, I judge my brother. It was a learning lesson for him and for myself. One thing I told him was he didn't need to spend so much money on the motherboard. It's all in how you're going to use it, and the way he uses his motherboard, or entire system rather, it didn't require such an expensive one. I'm not going to say how much he spent on it. No reason to. But I didn't like the price of it, and I think that he shouldn't have spent that much on it. I tend to go for more mid-range hardware. He tends to go for the high end, and when that motherboard broke, it broke both of our hearts, because one, he spent so much money on it, and two, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. So he ended up buying another motherboard. It was cheaper, still relatively expensive, but I think he learned his lesson about it. So try not to spend so much money on hardware if you're going to be doing light things on it. If you're a content creator, yeah, go ahead, spend the money, and always do your research on the motherboard, because every one of them performs differently. Okay, so CPU is in the socket, and now I'm going to install the mounting points, and I am not going to show you how to do that. because I don't feel like it. Let's close this up. And hopefully once the system boots, we will go into the process of updating the BIOS, and I will show you how to do that. And here we are back again, and you can see the mounting points here, here, here. All of the things that are in gold are mounting points. And previously, I don't know, I think I installed 5 more, I can't remember. I just did it. And that is where the motherboard is going to sit atop of, and then you will screw the motherboard into those mounting points. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my motherboard here and stick it in the box and see what happens. And I am missing a mounting point, so give me 1 second to put that in. I should have known that. I gotta find it, so give me 1 second. All right, and now I am back again. Apparently I missed one of those mounting points, obviously, and I had to find the screw, and then apparently it was also struggling to go inside. So, well, what a wonderful thing. Irritation, much rather. This is the mounting point I had trouble getting in, right here. Well, it's in now, so we can put the motherboard in and see what happens. And maybe there won't be any hidden mounting points that I did not pick up this time. Let's see. Okay, looks like it is a perfect match and fit. As you can see, the gold sticking out, those are the mounting points, and now all we need to do is get our mounting screws. Let's see. And I hope these fit, considering. Let's try this screwdriver. Okay, that is better. All right, let's see if we have enough. Okay, that's 2 in. Ooh. Let me double check something real quick. Okay. Alright, nothing special needed for the cooler, I hope. Otherwise, I'm going to have to take this entire motherboard out and find the bracket for it. It's also one thing I hate about working with screws. Sometimes they just don't slide in like they should. And I don't like this particular screwdriver because it doesn't have a magnetic point on it, so it doesn't hold the screw in place. And I don't even think that these particular screws are magnetic, considering, because I tried to use the red one as you just saw, and none of the screws were taken to it. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's try this one. So about that motherboard that my brother and I completely ruined, I still have it, and I might in the future get it repaired. There's some guys in California that do that. They're able to find the socket and then they have to get the socket off, but then after they do that, they resolder on a new socket. So in the future, you might see me doing a send off to that particularly fried motherboard, and when it comes back, we might try finding a cheap CPU for it so we can get it up and running. The only thing is that repairing the motherboard obviously is not cheap, and that is why I have not done it yet. Let's see. I got, how many more screws? One more. This is by far the easiest box I've had to work with yet, as far as putting in a motherboard and other parts, because everything's so open and easy to work with. And again, forgive my horrible cable management, everything's just sitting out. Let's see. I think this is the last screw that's going to be going in. Okay, that is it for putting the motherboard in. So now I'm going to have to grab something. Let's see. Keep it there. Alrighty. So I got my thermal paste. It's just a cheap old regular thermal paste. There are higher quality, better ones, but this is gonna have to do because it came with it, and I'm not complaining about things that I get practically for free. So I'm going to put that aside for a moment and shoot this camera at my TV for a second while I get it out the package. I hope you don't mind Darth Vader. About 80% of all of my wallpapers for this PC are Darth Vader. I have an unhealthy obsession with him, admittedly, and Palpatine. But Palpatine doesn't look good as a wallpaper in my opinion. Alright, so I have it out the box, and I will show you putting the thermal paste on the CPU. Ensure that you put thermal paste on your CPU, otherwise it's gonna get hot. Okay, there are varying degrees of how much paste people put on. As long as it's a pea size, and that's the go-to for any tech YouTuber, they will tell you as long as you have just the pea size dot on. As you can see, I'm a messy one applying thermal paste on. It's not pretty, but it's not supposed to be pretty. And so now I'm going to put my cooler on. Stick it in. The mounting points. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so it's all in there. And now you just lock it in place. Oh, hey. I don't know if that one is in. Nope, it's in. Okay. Oops. Nope. Make sure I got all of these locked. There we go. I can get my finger in there. That one. And this one. Okay, check, and it is locked in place. So now the motherboard is almost complete. I'm going to install the GPUs in just a moment and then start making my connections, and it's gonna look ratty in here, but again, not doing cable management, not gonna worry about it, because in the future we'll be testing this CPU anyways, and yeah, it just doesn't matter right now. Alright, so back to looking at my screen. and no Vader this time, unfortunately. Alright, so let me grab my GPUs. Alright, so I have my GPUs right here. This is the Zotac 1650 and this is the RX 480. Now, I will explain my personal reasons why I'm putting this card, which the 1650 is better than this one in particular. Jeez, I need to clean that. Reason I'm putting this card in the first slot is because this computer will have Twitch on it, and I find that Twitch is a hog for the CPU, and the encoder kills your FPS, and I don't like that. Well, it kills it in the game that I like to play. So the AMD card is going to go here in this slot, whereas the NVIDIA GPU is going to be used mainly for encoding purposes only. So it's going to go in this slot, and again, gotta take out another screw. It's just dandy. I forgot that this setup was for that smaller motherboard, therefore I need to make adjustments. Alright, so it's gonna go into, if I can get it in there. Okay, so now it's in the second PCIe slot, and I will screw this in. Let's see. Oh, that's just dandy. Okay. Alright. Now it's popped into place, and hopefully the screw will go in. Alright, there we go. The nice thing about this computer too are these screws you can do by hand. You don't necessarily need a screwdriver, and that's why I like this box so much. It's just so easy to work with. The only thing is that well, it's not particularly attractive, and if you get RGB, it's pretty pointless. And I will show you something that I did for a particular reason regarding RGB, and I need to clean these fans. I thought I already did that, but we'll worry about that another time. Entire point of this is just to get it to boot up and work, and we'll worry about the aesthetics later. Okay, so the GPUs are in. Let's see, what else am I missing? Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm going to step away for a moment and grab the Wi-Fi box. Okay, so I have my Wi-Fi card here. It plugs into the USB and PCIe port, and I'm going to put it beside the NVIDIA card, which hopefully doesn't burn it up. I don't know. Let me rotate my camera so you can see it. There you go. You should be able to see it now. Let's see, is it in there? It's kind of flimsy, and it doesn't have a locking mechanism. Okay, so it's in there. You plug this cable into a USB port. Computer, don't go off. Okay, and you can plug it into this one. It doesn't matter which one. Like I said, I'm not worried about cable management. I'm just going to try to get the cable to the side so it's not floating over the motherboard, and then screw this in so it won't be wobbling around, shorting out the slot or the entire motherboard. Make sure your stuff is screwed down so it does not short stuff out. Alright, so that does that. And now we're going to move on to the other stuff. Power goes here. Let's get that down. I already have 2 SATA cables. I forgot for what reason. Okay, yeah, I got a 2 terabyte hard drive already connected in here, formatted for a special purpose. I'm not gonna worry about that today, or right now rather. I might show it off later on. Let's see. Here we go. USB 3.0 is going to go into this slot here. Hold on. I had that backwards. There we go. USB 3.0. You can't get it any cleaner than that, really, because you have to stuff wires everywhere. So, all right, we got a USB 2.0 plus, I believe, audio. One of these is audio. AC97. Yeah, actually, no, both of them are audio. Okay, so now I gotta find the slot for that. And rotate the camera. It should be this slot here. It's not screwed all the way down. Oh. Okay, so this is the audio slot. You could just read at the bottom what it says. You can't really see it here, but it's going to describe what it is, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure stuff out. And this is where getting the manual comes in. Let me move this out the way, because these connections are going to go, move that out the way, here. Wait, let me double check. Yes, those connections are going to go there, and you need to be sure what you're plugging up, because you got power LED, power on, some other stuff, more LEDs, and you need to know which one actually feeds power. Also, good trick, once you know which one feeds power, you can use a screwdriver to short those 2 pins out and power on the computer in case the power button stops working for some odd reason. I've had to do it a couple of times. Again, I got an old motherboard for experimental purposes and had to do that. Okay, let's see. What else am I missing thus far? Oh, CPU power. So let me move over here. As you can see, you have your cable here. I'm just gonna run it up like this, since there's no real way you can actually clean this up. And I'm going to have to find an adapter for CPU power. Okay, power to, oh, nope, wrong slot. That's for extra power. Here we go. Let's see. I don't know if you can see it. Come on. It's one of these. There we go. Alrighty. And these 2 cables are for higher power graphics cards, but I don't have that. So we're going to move that out the way. Stick it where it belongs, at the bottom of the case where nobody can see it. Alright. Can't really do anything with this cable to clean it up. Actually, I could run that down and up through here, but I'm not going to do that today. Like I said, we're just trying to get this to post to the BIOS so we can do an update and then install the real CPU. Okay. Oh, and now comes my absolute favorite part. If you haven't guessed it already, not even putting a GPU in is satisfying to me like this. It's time to install the RAM. Now, hold on. As you can see, this RAM has LED lights in it, so it does RGB. And as I said, RGB is pointless for this case. And these RAM sticks are actually not supposed to be permanently in this case. I bought them so that when I do upgrade some of the parts in here, I'm going to buy dedicated RAM sticks for this particular case without RGB, which will probably come out cheaper. And these are going to go into my actual primary PC, the one I use every day. That does have RGB, so And the RAM, I made sure to buy the same exact RAM so they'll be compatible with my PC and clock at the same speeds. Okay. It's so hard to install it with one hand, at least for me. Put that to the side. Nothing like that clicking sound to me. Make sure you offset your RAM, otherwise you will not be getting your full potential out of the RAM. Forget what you call it. It's a type of channel and my brain is just not working right now. But you want to offset your RAM. Just remember that. First slot and then third slot. And then if you were going to do it for second slot, you would do second slot and fourth slot. That's how you do it. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so the PC is almost complete. And I'm going to hook up, let's see, HDMI to it, power it on, and then we'll see about the BIOS and do the update. So we're going to pause right here for right now. Okay, and we're back. As I stated before, never be afraid to read the manual. And as I had shown you, okay, I don't need those. Those power LEDs and power on switch has specific pins, and it varies from motherboard to motherboard. So I won't be showing how to make the connections necessarily. You could just read your manual like this one, and it will tell you where the exact connections go so that you can be able to power on your PC. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then in a moment we'll be transferring the BIOS update that's needed to support 11th gen CPUs, which I have on my laptop. I downloaded it right before I left. The area that I'm at now is supposed to have internet, but it does not. At the moment, it has the infrastructure but no internet, which is just dandy. And I'm going to go ahead and start making my connections, and then we'll get started with the BIOS. Okay, so I'm about to go ahead and test it and see if it boots up. Hopefully I got it in the right slot. Nope, did not. Hey, oh, I know why. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Now we have power. I'm not going to make those other connections because I don't have any LEDs and I don't want to accidentally hit my reset switch. Alright, so we're going to disconnect my computer from the TV screen so that we can see the BIOS and borrow some. Okay. And borrow a keyboard and mouse. Let's see. I'm gonna have to reboot it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reboot it. A lot of the job entails, hold on one second. A lot of the job entails troubleshooting. And now I have to troubleshoot why I don't have a screen on this TV. I'm guessing it might be going to the GPU. Hold on one second. Okay. And that's what it was. It was going to the GPU, which I hate so much. I would prefer the system to boot to the IGP instead, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I'll work on that in a moment. For right now, let's double check that BIOS. Okay, BIOS build date 1/30/2021. So no, it is not the right date, and that is why I almost messed up when buying the motherboard. But thankfully, I caught my mistake before the parts arrived, and I made the purchase for the 10th gen Pentium processor, which still hurts a lot. Okay, so we have 7C5. Alrighty. 6/20/21. Okay. So I'm going to extract this. Transfer it. Oh my goodness. You gotta be kidding me. Alright. Let's see. 729. Extract that one. Oh well. Oh well. 7C. Better to be safe than sorry, right? Okay. Alright, I just transferred the BIOS to a USB, and I will try to put the camera on the TV, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I do. Hold on one second. So you should be able to see everything, even with the case in the way. It's actually going to be this option where the case is in the way. Great. I'm going to move the camera up so you can see in flash, and then just hit yes. Never mind. Did I lose my keyboard and mouse? I did. I lost my keyboard and mouse. Alright. I'm going to have to disconnect this and just do a direct plug in. That's just dandy. Okay, let's see. Still might not work because nope, it does not work. All right. All right. We'll see what happened. All right. Flash, memory, storage, yada 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 yada. Advanced, overclock. Yes. All right. Now it should be working. Don't know why it didn't the first time. But alas, computers are computers, and they will do what they want, no matter how much you want them to work right. Let's see, retry. There we go. Project 0. Nope. Yeah, that's fine. I really don't care. I don't want a Celeron processor. If you're getting a Celeron processor, I feel very sorry for you. Especially on a laptop, you should definitely avoid a Celeron processor. You're putting both your legs behind your back and trying to walk. It's impossible. All right, and this will be done pretty soon, and as soon as the update is done, we're going to power off the machine, disconnect power, make sure there is no power in it so nothing shorts out, and install the i5 CPU and hope that it actually boots up, because I just realized something regarding my power supply. It is missing a cable. So we're gonna find out the hard way or not, whether I need to buy a power supply today and install that, which is going to be pure torture, because putting in the other one was already hard enough, and I was trying to avoid it for as long as I can, but it seems like that might not happen. We'll see though. We will see. I'll go ahead and grab that i5 and unbox it. Oh, this looks to be much beefier. Ooh, we're going to use this cooler instead. Okay. Oh, that is a beautiful looking CPU. This cooler is just a little better. I like that it's gold. Okay. Aha. Yeah. Power limit. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and shut down, power everything off, and then proceed with the installation of the i5 11400 CPU. Okay. Yes. And okay. All right. Connect power. All right, and you could just put, this is what I do, where the power switch is, just so it's safe. Let me move this over. Where the power switch is, so I can't see anything. Okay, where the power switch is, right here. There you go. You can just put your piece of metal right there, a pen, a screwdriver, whatever it is, and that's supposed to power it on. But in this case, we're just trying to short it out so that there's no power on the board. That's all you're doing. All right. And so now you remove this abysmal CPU cooler. And guess what? I'm going to install the one that came with the i5 because it looks to be just a little bit beefier. Not by much, but enough. And come on up. Here we go. And pop this out. Come on. One more. Made it harder than it had to be. Okay, so this is a hot CPU still. Wonder if I got anything. I'm gonna try to take it out. Hopefully I don't burn myself. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna have to clean that CPU off and put it back in its safety box so it doesn't receive any damage. Check everything's okay. All right, and now we're gonna remove the i5 from its little safety net and install that instead, which is what we've been waiting for, or what I've been waiting for. Okay. Okay, I got it the right way. Put it in, slap that down, get ready to lock it, and it's locked. Perfect. And now I just need to find, because this desk is now a mess, the thermal paste. Got it. Put your little E-size dot on it. There we go, and she is ready to go. And we're going to put, let's see, need to double check that. Did it again. That be, yeah, I'm just gonna put the cooler in like that, and where I have an easier time with the you know what, I'll deal with it. I will deal with it. Pop it into place, and she's done. And then let's see. Okay, everything is locked down and it is not going anywhere. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to put the camera down because I don't feel like holding it and fiddling with the fan. It's what you call it, power connector. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that. By the way, the fan's power connector, the CPU fan, is right there. It's always going to be pretty close to the CPU. Not every motherboard is the same. So you just look around this general area and you will be able to find the CPU power connector. Okay. Alright, so the CPU is in with the fan. Now for the moment of truth, whether or not it is going to boot in post, because as I said, I just realized I'm missing a connector, and if I have to, I'll just buy an adapter to cheap out for the moment, instead of just buying a power supply, because I am waiting for the perfect moment to get one for cheap to install on my computer, my personal rig. And I will tell you, I am lazy. I don't want to put another power supply in my own rig, because that means I have to reroute all of the cables, and that's going to be irritating. That's going to take quite some time. So I'm going to probably cheap out and get an adapter if it doesn't boot. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started. So now for the moment of truth. Okay, it's powering on. Just waiting to see. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. The VGA cable, HDMI rather, disconnected again. That has got to be the most irritating thing. It's an old card, so its port is kind of loose. Not kind of, it's very, very loose. So it irritates the heck out of me. Oh, it's booted. Give me 1 second and I will show you guys that it is now booted. And I'm about to leave this place, go home, and then I will record me installing Windows on it so that you can see that it's fully functional and ready to go. And that will be pretty much the end of the video. So let me go ahead and get this ready. I'm still probably going to buy an adapter so that it has enough power and doesn't die on me. And there we go. We got the CPU and motherboard to post. This machine is ready to go. So we're going to pause the video here and I will return with me installing Windows 10 on it. And after that, we might discuss a little bit more about this particular machine and a future video that will be going, that I will be making for it in particular. Alrighty. Okay, and we are back again. I'm back at my house, and I've already have a USB installer for Windows 10 ready. Always keep one on hand because I never know when I'm going to need one. But I will go ahead and show you how you can set up a Windows 10 USB installer. So there's two methods. I'm going to show you the one that I personally use, and then I'll show you the easiest one. This is called Rufus, which is a USB installer creator. So you just find your ISO, but first make sure your USB this is plugged in, and that's what this device is. And then you're going to select. Oh, it's trying to update. I don't need that right now. Make sure it's set to disk or ISO image because that's what you're going to need. So make sure that if you use this, you have a Windows 10 ISO, and then you hit select. And I'm the only one who knows how all my stuff is on my computer, so it's going to be different for you. But I have a bunch of ISOs here. Just make sure that the one that you choose is the Windows 10, which is going to be this one. Hit open. Since most modern computers are UEFI, select GPT, and then just leave this alone. And then you just hit start, and it's ready to go. It's just that simple. And for the second one, give me a moment to pull it up. Let me see. Let me shrink my camera down so that you can see what I'm doing on Firefox. Give me 1 second. Okay. And shrink you. There you go. Okay, you should be able to see what I'm doing now. My Firefox is already set to Google, so it makes it a whole lot easier. Yours might be different, but you can just type in Windows 10 installer and choose this one, create installation media. All right, and then you select, oh no, I can't see anything. Windows 10, and get this one right here. Create Windows 10 installation media. Why is it selecting all that? Yeah, you want to look for that, and then hit download tool now. It's very simple. Then you can go to downloads, hit that, and tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. We're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting. I think I lost my main screen. Of course I did. Hold on 1 second. Done. Okay. Close that. And here it is. This is what it's going to look like. As soon as it gets ready, hit accept for the whole license policy thing. And then, let's see, it's going to take forever to do all of this. Let me close that out because I don't need it. All right. Don't do upgrade this PC now because it's just going to upgrade the PC that you're already on. Go to create installation media, click that, use recommended options, and then USB flash drive. And I'm not going to hit next because it's just going to start it. But that's all you need to know. It's that simple. The Windows 10 installation media tool is probably going to be your easiest route. So we're going to pause the video here. And I'm going to start the installation on, didn't even save it. Yeah, I'm going to start the installation on the other computer on one of my SSDs. As soon as I figure out how to stop this. Nope, wrong one. All right. This is save. All right, here we go. End. Okay, now we're back. As you can see, the venue has changed. My clothes have changed because it's a new day. When I was going to record this portion of the video, I asked for quiet on the set, and I was hereby denied such a request. So I decided to just finish my recording today at a different venue again. And, well, you don't know this, but you will now. I am recording this on the PC that we just upgraded. In a moment, I will be sharing the screen so that you can see that everything is working. I have a couple of games already installed on it, but we're going to do different stuff with that in a different video just to see that it really does work. There's no issues with it, and this particular CPU is not overclockable, so we're not going to worry about overclocking it, overclocking RAM, none of that. It's just supposed to work right out the box and do what it's going to do. I am not worried about extra features. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that the computer is working, and I'm probably going to end up buying a license for it either today or tomorrow so that the Windows software can activate legally on this device. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here, and then when I come back, I will be showing the background, showing that Windows is working. Just opening and closing a couple of apps, and then we're done with this video. So you should be able to see my PC background by now. I have a bunch of them. Let's see. So we'll start off by opening a couple of applications just to show that the operating system is working. We're not going to be running anything because the venue I'm at, again, does not have internet, so I can't do Google searches or anything like that at the moment. Next video, when we do start displaying some of the capabilities or the purposes of this particular machine, we will be using internet and hopefully in an environment that is quiet as I would like. Okay, so we'll start off with Microsoft Edge. Oh look, it works. That's great, beautiful. Firefox, my personal favorite. I never have problems out of it. I know everybody likes Chrome, but this is my particular browser. Alright, I'm not going to open OBS because it's just going to do the infinity screen as you just saw. We'll bring up the program I am running now for my camera, webcam, IV cam, so you can see that is working as well. And I will open VLC media player, which I am going to have to repair because apparently there's an issue with it. And then of course Steam's gonna open up, I hope, because it's taking forever. Please tell me it's not going to require internet. Let me pronounce that correctly. Okay, there she is. Just loaded into the instances. And yep, Steam is open. So now you see that the computer is working and ready to go. and in just a moment I will take the camera and show you the inside, especially the pretty little RGB. I haven't set it up to where it's going to be a single color yet. I like single colored things. I don't like rainbows and unicorn barf like that. Just give me one moment to unscrew this case, and then I will point the camera so that you can see. As carefully as possible so it's not jarring, and turn off my searchlight that is on, and there you go. You should be able to see the system and the unicorn barf that is the RAM. As you can see, everything's running perfectly, and that's the way we want it. Alrighty. And I think that's gonna really do it for this video. I hadn't prepared any real closing thoughts. Hold on, I'm gonna have to pause the video. Okay, as I was saying, I hadn't really prepared any closing thoughts regarding this video, but I guess I'll just go over a few points that I probably already brought out. One, don't be afraid of buying used or older hardware to put together a computer, especially if there's stuff that's just lying around. You never know, it might be upgradable. You might have a system that's lying around that's an i3. It means that it'll probably take an i5, and it might take the next generation i5, which would be to your benefit. Things that I personally avoid, that I suggest you avoid regarding buying used hardware: power supplies and SSDs. I wouldn't do it. It's your personal choice, just like it's anyone else's, and someone else might recommend something different. But I personally would not buy a used SSD or a used power supply, because you don't know what it's been through. Everything else, yeah, that's really up to you, in my opinion. Another thing, try not to be so intent on getting the most expensive thing ever, because the most expensive stuff doesn't necessarily translate as the best stuff. I usually stick to mid-range things, but I will pay a little extra for something that's better, but you have to do your research on it and know that it's better. I've seen people, or have people, ask me about buying a PC or a laptop, and they show me what it is. The company is being very indescript about what's in it, and it happens to be they're trying to sell you a Celeron processor or an Atom in a laptop for $600. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I have a laptop, it's right behind me. I spent, it costs around $600, but you know, with tax, considering Alabama, is around $700, and I have an i5 in it. Why are you going to pay $600 for an Atom or a Celeron? That's just wrong. I'm not going to say stupid, wrong, because not everybody understands computers or what they're getting. They just see the price on it and think automatically it's good. That is not the case. There are different levels of tech parts and what they do and how they will perform, and it's based off build quality, what they decide to do with it, and the list goes on and on. So don't look at a price and think automatically, oh, this is going to be something great, because that's not the case. And what else? The i7 3770. So that actually belongs to my brother, and I can't put it into another box and do whatever I want with it. So I'm probably going to take the i5 out of the other box that I have, and then try to use it with the older hardware that I have. Yeah. So in conclusion, if you have any questions regarding computers, you're more than welcome to ask me in this channel. You can comment if you would like to and ask me questions. Don't be afraid to ask other people, because you probably know somebody that knows about computers and they'll be able to help you. And I encourage you to definitely check out some of my favorite tech channels like Linus Tech Tips, Random Gaming HD, Gamers Nexus, and a couple of others like J2 They're very insightful and informative when it comes to PC building and the technology that we have today. So I encourage you to check them out for yourselves and see what you might learn. They have little tidbits that I'm always learning from them, and they really got me into the love of PCs. I already had it before, but when I started watching them, it just moved me to do a whole lot more regarding PC building and repair. So check them out when you get some free time. And thank you for watching my channel. I hope you continue to be safe and have an excellent day.